Survivor specialist Phil and Alexa are back. Alexa's doing a little dance because tonight we had the best moment, maybe in Survivor history. Troyzan hugged Jeff Probst, turning this entire season on its head, turning the entire Phil and Will community on their head. The prop bet of all prop bets, one that I fought with Will so hard to get rid of, and it came true tonight. Troyzan, the man, with another iconic moment in Survivor history.
And I'll do you one more. The greatest moment of our entire lives. Troyzan tweeted at us saying how much he likes this podcast. Phil, you have the tweet up? Why don't we read it out loud and brag about it?
Do I have the tweet up? Of course I don't.
I already have it hanging up on my wall, so.
Yeah, exactly. Alexa blew it because it mentioned her by name. I think he only really likes Alexa. I don't think he actually liked me and Will ever. But wait, where is it? I can't find it.
Don't worry, I'll pull it up on my phone. Not that this is bookmarks or anything.
Wow, Alexa's probably sending screenshots of this to me. And
everyone I know.
Oh, here it is. The secret is out. I tweeted, does Troyzan secretly watch our podcast? Going out of his way to hug Jeff just made a lot of people happy. And he responds with, the secret is out. I really enjoy the thoughts and great commentary. Alexa is a fantastic addition with a winky face.
That's the perfect way to cap it off. Thanks for the winky face, Troyzan.
So
Pay attention.
If Troyzan's listening, that's awesome. I seriously jumped out of my shoes when that came up. I jumped out of my shoes when he hugged Jeff. I was like, oh my God, we got it. Alexa, you always watch like a minute ahead of me because I'm watching the stream. And you were like, something just happened, get ready. And then sure enough, I thought it was just Troyzan winning immunity. That was enough for me. But then he turns around and he hugs her, or hugs Jeff. Wow, hugs Jeff.
Hugs Alexa.
Hugs Alexa. But yeah, so that was a really exciting little moment there. We got the hug, we got the tweet. What more could we ask for? I'm looking over here in the live chat.
The chat is blowing up.
The chat is blowing up with interview comments, but
Cool MGR1 wants Troyzan to replace me, which I don't know how to feel about that. Troyzan's supposed to be replacing Phil, but we'll move on. And what was so great about that hug is that it was like in slow motion. It was like he was great. He was so happy. He was like thanking, and then just turns around and goes for the awkward one arm hug. It couldn't have been any better. And I didn't want to spoil it for you because I know I'm ahead of you. So I just said like something positive happened. Prepare yourself.
Yes, exactly. And I was very excited about that. Yeah. So anyway, we got that out of the way. We got Troyzan over here, tweeting at us and all that, and everybody in here. We'll see. We'll see what happens down the line. We're excited. We're always excited when survivors are on our side, listening to us in the background. It's happened before, and who knows what'll happen in the future. But man, Troyzan would be so much fun. I want the crazy uncle here. That's what I want. I'll say it once. I'll say it a million times.
Yeah, instead of an interview, we're actually just going to put a camera on a tree and we're going to play flag football like we've been talking about in some park with Troyzan, and it's going to be awesome.
That's it. That's all we really, really want. So here we go. Should we talk about the season now, or the episode 10? Some of you will call it 9. Some of you will call it 8. We're calling it 10 because some of CBS calls it 10 and the other half calls it episode 9. So you know what? They don't know. We don't know. We call it episode 10. Is in the books. Debbie went out exactly how Phil said Debbie would go out. I put her in spot 8 in the power rankings. Alexa had her in spot 4. And I said, guess what? She's going to get too cocky. Once she starts being able to push the buttons and pull the punches, that's when Debbie ends up going home because people just see right through it. And they're like, we can't trust her. Let's get rid of her. And she goes up to Aubrey and says, Sarah doesn't trust you. And Aubrey looks, okay, whatever, goes over to Sarah and goes, Debbie told me you don't trust me. Why would you ever want to play with somebody who's walking around telling other people not in your alliance that you don't trust them? And that's why Debbie went home.
Yeah, you were completely right. I'm giving you all the credit on this one. You called it. She went out the exact same way. And even more so, Aubrey said, this is how we voted out Debbie last time. And the one time we really see Aubrey and Debbie interact in this season is a complete carbon copy of how it happened last time. So good on Aubrey. Aubrey's double middle fingers was freaking hilarious. She came alive this episode. So that was obviously, we've been wanting that for a while. Yeah, Debbie was cocky. And this entire episode just had tidbits of sentences that not gave it away, but just there was so much confidence in this episode. There was so much confidence that Cirie had. There was so much confidence that Debbie had. And that the second you get confident in Survivor, you go home. And even at Tribal Council, Debbie was like, we're good. We are rock solid. Everything's great. And she goes home. And she knew it. In her final words, she was like, man, they blindsided me. So she was a really good sport about it. But yeah, Debbie, the writing was on the wall on that one.
Yeah, she completely overplayed her hand and threw Sarah under the bus, who already felt like she was on the bottom. And actually, I thought the best move of the night, Sarah obviously made the best move of the night. And I really think that Sarah might have saved this season, because for the first half hour, I was texting you, I was texting my friends, and I'm like, guys, this is bad. What am I watching? This doesn't feel like Survivor. It's kind of boring. It's kind of predictable. I'm like doing everything I can to get pumped up. And then Sarah kind of saves the day here and makes for what could be a really entertaining rest of the season. What I thought was most interesting this episode, though, was Cirie going up to Sarah and just straight up saying, I see us in the final three together. I think that's a very underrated move, whether it works for Cirie or not. She completely stopped Sarah from being ready to flip. It is Debbie's fault Debbie went home tonight. And it seems like Cirie really got in Sarah's head, because Sarah feels like she's on the bottom. Just tell them they're in your final three. That's what you have to do when you're trying to control that large of a group, unless you have a guy like Troyzan who's like, guys, just be happy to get to final six and then hope the cards reshuffle. But, either way could work. Troyzan's also sitting there with an idol, so he doesn't have to stir the pot right now. But I thought this was really good of Cirie to go up to Sarah and say, you, me, and Debbie, and you use Debbie, who Sarah says, I know I can beat Debbie. That's just a no-brainer. So I was really impressed with that, but Debbie she put the knife in it.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of Sarah going back and forth, and I envision this happening for the foreseeable future, and not in a bad way. Normally, if someone's flip-flopping back and forth, it's not necessarily presented in a good way, but Sarah is doing it in a way that she is controlling her game. She's not doing it out of desperation. She's doing it because she's sending home the people that she wants, and she started off in this period of time after the immunity and before Tribal Council. She's in this group of six. It's all good. She's like, this is great. Then she decides to go, let's get rid of Debbie. And then Cirie pulls her back in and says, no, let's do this final three. Now she's back on this side. Mm-hmm. Then she has the conversation with Aubrey. She swings back and forth, which is something that a lot of people don't love as a viewer, as players, but she is finding a way to do it in a way that is so beneficial to her. And I really applaud her for it, because that's not a game that I usually respect, but she's doing such a great job with it. She saved us from a eventual pagonging, which I know no one would have really wanted, not because of the players, but just because it's not very fun to watch. And she's made it really interesting. She grabs that secret advantage, which I know we'll get to, but this was, confessionals alone, this was Sarah's episode.
Yeah, and what was so crazy about Sarah this episode is it was a lot like her Kagayan boot episode. She kept going back and forth from one side to the other. Both sides are fighting for her. And then in that episode, they just said, screw it, let's get rid of her. Tonight, she did good enough of a job that she never seemed like she was the aggressor. She always seemed like she was actively listening. And that's very important, because in Kagayan, she was very much like, I hate you guys. Like, not I hate you guys, but I'm going to do whatever I want, and one of you is going to go home. In this episode, she's saying that to the camera and to the people. She's saying, you know what, that's a good plan. That's a good plan. That's good. Not trying to be the one in control, even though she completely was. But when you start telling people you're in control, like, say, Debbie, you go home. And that's why Debbie went home. I don't think Debbie really was too overly aggressive with her arrogance, but you can't come out and say, I feel confident, I feel great, this is my alliance, and then start throwing your own alliance members under the bus. And when Aubrey comes up to Sarah and says that, if Aubrey says that about Brad, Sarah might not believe it. But she says it about Debbie, and Debbie is known for this type of stuff. So, of course, she's going to believe it. And why do you not get rid of Brad or Cirie before you get rid of Debbie? Because Debbie is just so unpredictable. Brad and Cirie seem like they're playing a very straightforward game right now. Debbie is not.
And there were a lot of good storylines that ended for Debbie this episode. There was the dictatorship and the democracy comment. But a few episodes ago, or pre-merge, she had a problem with Brad because she felt that it was a dictatorship. And on her voting confessional, she said, some people give orders, some people take orders. This is a democracy, which I don't necessarily
think. In a democracy, people take orders and give orders, by the way.
So exactly. So that was a good bookend. And even when she said she was talking to, it was her, Brad, and I think Ciara earlier on before the vote, she was saying, let's vote out this person. And Brad says, no, how about we vote this person? And she went along with it. She was perfectly fine with it. And then her conversation with Cochran said, don't get comfortable, don't get cocky. And she got comfortable. And also at the Varner Boot episode, she said, as soon as people are confident that they're going home, that's when that's when things start to get wild. So there were a lot of storylines for Debbie that ended this episode. And I think I really enjoyed her this season. We got our last Debbieism in that she was a captain in Civil Air Patrol. I'm glad she was on the season. I think, she was what she was. I really enjoyed her. And I think we are in for a pretty interesting finish here.
Yeah, I hope so. And what's so interesting about this move here is Sarah finding the secret advantage, which let's just talk about the secret advantage. How did nobody see her go over, swim over there, get up, and get on the boat with Michaela? Like, nobody's sitting there going, oh, that's a little fishy. Nobody's thinking that? Michaela's not thinking that? Like, well, how did she get away with this so easily?
That was the first thing that I thought. I mean, they kept cutting to it, and Michaela just grabbing her shoes, and she was so close. And Sarah notices it, and good on her for seeing that, because that takes a lot of perception to notice that. And I don't know, from the way it was framed, everyone was already on the boat. So if I see Sarah just creep her way over to the sit-out bench and just grab it, she took off her shoes and just kind of wiped, shook them a little bit and stuck it in there. It was amazing that she did it, but I am so surprised that no one even noticed her.
And she had to untie it. It's not like it was just sitting there ready for her. She had to do stuff with this. I'm really surprised this worked out as well as it did for Sarah. But what's interesting about this move tonight is that by her doing what she did, it's 5-5, but she has a vote steal. This isn't an extra vote. This isn't just one more vote. You can literally take away a vote from the other side. Sarah has put herself in the perfect position where she is in control of the rest of this game. I really believe that, because it's 5-5. Next week, she probably gets rid of somebody from Brad's alliance. But then the week after that, she can flop back to them, turn it into 5-4 if she wants it to be. Wait. So right now, it's 5-5 if Sarah goes back, right?
So,
if Sarah goes back there. So right now, it's 6-4 in reality. I'm already talking like Sarah's over there. 6-4 in reality. They probably get rid of somebody from Brad's side next week. And then the week after that, Sarah would be up 6-3. She flips to the other side. It's now 5-4. She uses her vote steal. It's 5-4 in favor of them. She has complete control over the next two people who go home. It's pretty crazy how that kind of worked out. I'm not saying that these alliances are set in stone. You still have Zeke and Andrea working together, which is definitely not going to last. You still have Ty with 2 idols. You have Troyzan with 1. You have Cirie and Michaela, who seem like the only real tight thing on that other side, and Andrea kind of seems like she's in there too. So it feels like you have a really solid 3, and then the other 3 are still kind of floating a little bit. But I really think Sarah has positioned herself well to be the villain who makes the big moves and is in control here.
I think Sarah is in complete control and will be for a while. I don't see her sticking with this Zeke, Andrea, Cirie kind of Aubrey alliance. I know that you had kind of mentioned that they'd go back. I think because of this position she's in, because of the numbers she has on both sides, she also has relationships on both sides. She's, like you said, she's playing the villain in the confessionals, but I'm actually seeing her have relationships with these people. It seems like she and Andrea are kind of friends, and it just seems like she and Ciara do have a relationship that we haven't ever really seen, because we've seen a lot of strategy this season, which is fine. But I think these are meaningful relationships too, or at least they seem to be meaningful enough where she can play both sides and no one notices that she's playing both sides. I think she's going to continue doing this for the foreseeable future. I think because of how she's played so far, it would be smart for her to continue flipping back and forth.
Yeah, and I totally think she's going to. I think she's going to pull the Will Wall pendulum strategy. I really think.
Except pull it off.
Yeah, and I think she can pull it off. She has enough advantages to really make this work. And what's Sarah's position, I don't think she sticks with them, but I think right now the biggest threat in the game to win if they get to the end, other than Cirie, is Ciara. I think Ciara Dawn Thomas is playing the best game. I think people have said she's playing the best game. Brad is following her. Troyzan is following her. Ty, he's playing a great game, I think, but Ty is also being viewed as not the leader of that. Ciara is being viewed as the leader. If Ciara gets to the end, Cirie said it to Sarah tonight. If you get there, they're just going to say we dragged Sarah here. And that's exactly how I think you get rid of Ciara next if you're Sarah, because there's going to be a time where everybody's going to say we need to get rid of Cirie because there's no way anyone lets Cirie get to the end. And after what we saw tonight, is Cirie really an immunity threat? No.
No, Cirie's not an immunity threat. And I guess that's a good segue to bring it up. How do you feel about what happened in that reward challenge?
Okay. So first, let me say this, because I know we have a lot of Cirie lovers here. I love Cirie. You love Cirie. This is nothing against Cirie. This is not against Cirie at all. Why did we need this on the show? Why? It was 2 minutes of, after the challenge was already over, Cirie trying to cross a balance beam, everybody going over there, patting her on the back. Good job, good job, good job. And then, okay, and now, by the way, you guys still lost, and let's move on. And it's like, why do we need those 2 minutes? Give me 2 minutes of a confessional from somebody. Give me something. And you can still have Cirie give her really, really long confessional that she gave after that. But we don't need to see her go across the beam. Like, I'm sorry, and I know I'm nitpicking, but these episodes are 43 minutes long in an hour time slot. I don't need 2 of those minutes to be somebody crossing a balance beam after they've already lost. I don't care who it is.
And I think this goes back to I cannot believe I'm about to compare these two situations. The Cochran entrance on Debbie's exile yacht. We said this has nothing to do with the fact that it was Cochran. This has nothing to do with the fact that it was him. And I have made it, I think, abundantly clear how I feel about Cirie. She's my favorite Survivor player of all time. And I like what she did and what her teammates did for her, especially in a season or an era of Survivor where it's not about companionship, it's about winning. This is a returning season. People just want to come back and win. I think that was really, really incredible of them to do that. I'm just surprised it wasn't a secret scene. I get showing clips of it, but showing the entirety, I'm not upset about it. It was just, I guess it just seems a little out of place because I know
it's so corny.
I feel like there have been character moments in this season, and that's what I want, character moments. But I felt as though it was not on Cirie's end. I felt the way that it was framed and the way that it was presented was a little forced. But in the situation, like in the moment, I get it, and I'm happy for Cirie. I am. I think it's unfortunate that like I am not super pumped about how it's presented, but I am okay with the content.
I just don't understand why Jeff egged it on so much. Like, Jeff was like, Cirie, you want to finish? You can still do this. You still, like, Jeff never does that. When people say, like, I want to finish a challenge, they just either, like, people normally say, screw you, we're not finishing it, we already lost. Or, like, you might finish, like, the last part, but I remember there's, like, why is Jeff sitting there, like, Cirie, do you want to finish? Like, Jeff, this is once again, and I love Jeff Probst. I love him. He's the main part of this show. But for him to egg this on, he's trying to force a moment. The moments will come. Why are you forcing it? And he's the one who forced that. Let Cirie just finish this challenge like everybody else does. She falls off the beam. They lose. We get a really sad shot of her. And then we cut to everybody standing on their mats. If this was not Cirie, this would not have happened. If this was Sandra, this would not have happened. Because Sandra is a villain and Cirie's supposed to be a hero. So you have to put this moment for Cirie to make her more heroic. Sandra could have done the same thing, been like, I can't get up this thing. I can't get up this thing. They would not have done this moment, but they tried to force a hero moment on Cirie, and it was just not needed.
I don't agree with that. I think they would have done it if it was Sandra. I have no problem with them showing the whole clip. I liked seeing them help her. I liked that. I just didn't love Jeff with the couch comment and Jeff continuing to push it. I wish it had gone without commentary because I did like seeing it. I liked seeing them help her. I liked seeing her complete it. I wanted that. What I felt was forced was the commentary.
That's what I mean, but this would have never happened if Jeff didn't force it. And if Jeff didn't make the commentary, this would have never happened. So he was forcing it. And you already have a really good moment with Michaela sitting over there with the advantage underneath her, but this is forcing a storyline. That's what I felt. And you know what? I love Cirie. Totally fine with this. I just think that it wastes 2 minutes that we don't need to waste on a moment that really need this moment. Like, we just don't. Like, as much as I love Cirie, I don't need to be reminded that I love Cirie because she's a strategist and not a physical competitor. Like, this does nothing to me to be like, oh, she believed in herself. This is great. Like, it just doesn't make me feel that way. It makes me feel like she could have done that 100 times. It's like, why? That's all I want to know. And it's great that she finished, but I just don't need it.
But I don't think it was a waste of time. Like, I'm okay. I liked the fact that it was there. I just
you wouldn't have rather seen like confessionals from people like actually involving the game, or like you wouldn't have rather seen people be like, you know, it could have just been like,
but like,
we got
the stories that we got to, like, I don't feel like it's incomplete. Like the conversation with Debbie and Cochran, that was during like Sandra's boot episode, where the entire episode is about Sandra. It took up an entire pod in between commercials. This was at the end of a challenge. It flowed a little more. I'm not upset that it was there. I'm just upset with the way that Jeff framed it.
It's dumb. Okay, moving on. Okay, so after this, they go back and they lost. Michaela, okay, first I do want to talk about why was Michaela not picked? How stupid is everybody there? Do they just not like her? Is that all it is? Because, like, how do you not pick, like, one of the most physical competitors out there?
I really think they don't like her, because Brad and Cirie, they were saying, let's get rid of her. We don't like her. She's a pest. She's annoying. And I don't see that. I don't think us viewers are seeing that. And I love Michaela. I watch her tease with Michaela B. The Michaela that the players are speaking about and the Michaela that we see are two very different Michaelas. And I'm waiting to see which one comes out, because they also don't tell us why they don't like her. They don't really give us specific examples. They say, we don't like her. It's her attitude. She's lazy. But we haven't seen that. I've seen a fun Michaela. I've seen a funny Michaela. And I don't know. That's something that remains very different between the experience and us viewers. And I'm surprised that they've kept them so separate for this long.
Well, and the thing is, it seemed like the Millennials versus Gen X group really, really liked her. I'm just really surprised that Cirie, being the captain of a team, didn't pick Michaela, who she seemed to be very tight with. Did she really need to pick? Like, I guess she was maybe doing this strategically, knowing that she had Michaela no matter what. But if you think that Michaela's got this attitude problem, how can you trust not picking her and putting her on your team? Because she could easily just blow up. And I thought it was hilarious watching her troll all of them, sitting over there on the sideline like, yeah, good job, Aubrey, as Aubrey's fallen off. I think that's hilarious. And it's a really stark contrast to what we saw at the end of the challenge, and maybe that's why I was a little off by it, is we see this really, really angry. And then it's like completely like subverted with this really inspirational moment. And it's just like, I don't know. It just felt like the wrong ending to the story they were telling, because Michaela was so negative towards them.
Yeah, and I'm reading the comments right now. I don't think Michaela is playing two different personalities. I think people are misinterpreting what I said. What I meant to say is, like, the player that these contestants are seeing and the player that we are seeing are different people, and I just don't know why the edit is portraying her like this. Because I like the Michaela that I'm watching and the Michaela that I've seen like outside of the show in her separate interviews and her like YouTube channel is like very bubbly and very outgoing and very likable. And for all these people to be saying they don't like her, I just don't know why they don't like her. So that's what I've meant by that. But yeah, Michaela's a freaking challenge beast, and she just looks like, even when she was laying down on it at some point, I was like, wow, she is so freaking muscular. Like, she would be crushing this right now. And I guess this kind of goes into one comment that Brad had when he won the reward challenge. He was saying, I didn't pick based on my alliance. I picked some people on my alliance, but I left others on the other, in the other group for the reward challenge so that they can monitor what's going on back at camp. And that was really smart of him. I think that was a really great idea. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I would have picked Michaela really early on.
Yeah, and I guess it really does just come down to the fact that it's her attitude. It's whatever she's been saying to them. But again, she knows that she's always in the majority here because she brought coconuts to tribal council and ate them behind Miss Debbie, who gets voted out, which is hilarious.
It was amazing. As soon as she whipped it out, I was like, oh man, we're getting another tea with Michaela B, except it's coconuts with Michaela B now.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, wait, okay, so then after this, what was they win the reward, and who won the reward again? I honestly don't even remember.
It was like Brad, Ty, Ciara,
Aubrey,
Andrea, and Aubrey.
Yeah, and so they go on this reward, and then that happened, and it was very, very, like, not exciting. What did they even win? I seriously can't even remember. Am I zoning out that bad?
Well, they flew on an airplane.
That's right, because Debbie did her airplane speech.
And they had brownies.
Mm-hmm.
And food. And the plane was parked. It was kind of cool. The plane was parked, like, I guess parked to be the correct word. The plane was right on the water, like right on the beach. It was a cool setup, the way that they angled the camera.
Yeah, exactly. So then that happens. It's not that great. We see a couple more character moments here from Debbie because this is going to be her boot episode. So we see a little bit more going on with her. A very, I don't know, like a very fitting in the story character moment. Something that we see as people go on reward challenges, and they didn't have to force this one, is Debbie getting her character moment here. So then, Brad says, Brad or Ciara, was it Brad or Ciara? One of them said, like, I'm very happy. This couldn't have worked out better. I think it was Ciara. She's like, this is the best day ever. We got our people here. I think she said you don't want to take your entire group because you want to make sure people are sitting back at home. I think this was Brad who said that, where he said, Troyzan and Sarah don't get picked today. Sorry, that's the case. So they stay back. They keep Andrea with their group of 4, and they try to pull Andrea over, knowing that she is the weak link in that other alliance, considering Zeke's going after her. And this was actually a good move. They just went wrong with Sarah tonight. That's really all it came down to. And they got a little too cocky, it seems like.
And I'm glad you brought up Andrea, because we haven't really talked much about the Andrea and Zeke conflict. She's mad. She's very, very mad at Zeke. And we got to see why Andrea's mad at Zeke. But Zeke said something along the lines of, I have no desire to work with Andrea. And I don't know why he doesn't want to work with her. I understand why he wanted to, like, I can try to understand why he wanted to flip on her last episode, but for him to now say, no way, I do not want to work with her, I just don't know where that came from. I know why she's mad at him. I don't really know why he's mad at her.
Yeah, and I think he didn't try to make amends, and I'm really confused as to where it all went wrong between them, because even him turning on Andrea last week felt forced. And maybe it's just the fact that that night after Tribal, she's blowing up on him and won't let him talk, won't let him get his words in. And he's like, well, screw this. I'm not going to sit here and do this. And it almost reminded me of the Hannah Zeke Adams scene from the first season, where Zeke's just trying to be alone and Hannah won't stop talking. And it was like, and he's like, can you just leave me alone? Like, just stop. And it was funny to see, like, the other end of this, where Zeke's trying to get a word in and Andrea just, like, won't let him. And good for Zeke to be like, screw this, I'm walking away. Because if you're Andrea, you can't keep bashing Zeke, because if Zeke goes to the other side, you're done. That's all it would have taken tonight, is Zeke going to the other side and Andrea goes home tonight. And so she needs to watch what she does a little bit more. But Zeke had a very good confessional that showed that he's really paying attention later on in the episode, when he said, I just have to sit with my tail tucked between my legs. It's not the way I play the game, but that's kind of what I have to do right now. And then obviously they got in his head and got him to actually vote out Debbie, which was a bigger move. But this wasn't Zeke so much pushing the issue, realizing where he actually stands in the tribe and realizing the only way he's going to move on further.
Yeah, and good on Zeke for sticking his tail between his legs. It worked out for him, because had he tried to make too many moves, it very well could have flipped on him too. So good on him for that. And Zeke and Andrea, they voted together, but did we see them communicate once to each other? They found a way to pass in the night and still get Debbie out without having to communicate with each other.
Yeah, and I think this was kind of like Sarah who was really pushing this. Like Sarah and Cirie. Like, I feel like they were finding a way to, like, probably navigate this entire situation without ever making them have to interact, which was very important, because if Zeke and Andrea are interacting, then the other side's going to catch wind of it and they're going to try to make some move, because they're going to be like, why are Zeke and Andrea interacting? They must know something we don't. So I think that was a good move. Sarah's in a tricky spot, though, if she does get the final 3, because she is going to be the reason a lot of people get voted out from here on out, with her advantage and all of that. And then Debbie going home tonight, that was because of Sarah. And Debbie's not somebody who Yeah, she took it gracefully now, but when she finds out that Sarah booted her, she's going to be like, screw you, you were in a good alliance if Sarah gets to the final 3. So this is going to be a tricky area for Sarah.
This will be tricky for her, but I think Debbie is smart enough to know that it was Sarah who flipped, because who else would have flipped in that 6?
No. I know she knows that, but when you initially get booted, that's not the first thing that's going through your head, because she even said, I'm really this one was a complete blindside. I didn't see this coming. So she still has to process it. And the initial reaction might be like, I'm going to be a good sport. I'm going to take this like a champ. But then you go and you sit at Ponderosa for a little bit. And if more people start coming back being like, Sarah screwed me, Debbie's going to be like, well, screw her. I'm not voting for her to win.
Yeah, that's kind of like when Chris was booted last season. He and Zeke did their little Oklahoma Sooners thing. And then he said in one of his exit interviews, wait, I was walking down the path and I was pissed when I realized I just like fist bumped Zeke and he's the one who got rid of me. Exactly.
So you don't realize it until it might be too late. I guess we should talk a little bit about this immunity challenge. I actually thought I did not like the first half of this episode. I've been pretty apparent with my views of this entire season as a whole so far. I'm very meh on it. But I really thought this immunity challenge is when I'm hoping this is a turning point in the season. Not because Troyzan won, but because Troyzan beat Andrea, who was going to be the clear target. And then Andrea still had to find a way to save Andrea. The other side goes home, kind of spinning this game on its head a little bit. I'm really, really happy with how that turned out. Debbie goes home tonight. It's a little bit more exciting. And now I just hope moving forward we get a bunch of more unpredictable episodes because of gameplay. This was a strictly gameplay-driven boot episode, a gameplay-driven blindside. There were no advantages used, nothing. It just happened because the players played the game. That's what I've been wanting all season, and we finally got it tonight.
Yeah, and I think with the preview and with what we had mentioned earlier, this breakup has nothing to do with the players. I don't want to watch 5 players just vote out everyone in succession, no matter who it is. So it'll be good to have more flipping, more moving around, like you said, because of personal gameplay, not because it was forced upon them. So I see this as a turning point, especially with Sarah making it pretty clear that she is a free agent and she is flipping back and forth. So that will be fun. I also, if we're going to talk about the immunity challenge, we need to talk about what Ty was doing. Because in theory, what he was doing was smart. He was stacking his tiles in advance so that he wouldn't have to rummage around for them while he's holding onto the rope. But he was having trouble spelling immunity backwards, and I would too after 26 days of not eating. But oh my God, was that funny.
All you have to do is spell it the right way, pick up your stack, and then flip it. That's all he had to do. Why did he not do that?
He did it after some deliberation.
Oh, that was so obnoxious. I wanted to I'm like, come on, Ty.
When he was doing it, I was like, he's going to freaking win this. But then as soon as he couldn't flip it correctly, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good in theory, but not doing well in practice.
Exactly. So it just took him too long getting moving. So yeah, that was good. I mean, Ty tried. I was happy with how this whole immunity challenge went. I don't love this challenge. This was one of the challenges that was at EW Pop Fest. It takes so long. Poor Rob Cesternino had to do this against somebody. And the challenge literally went on for like 20 minutes. I remember by the end of it, we were like, guys, just spell like unity. Like, forget the IMM, just spell unity, because it was taking forever. And you feel for both of them, because they're like, I didn't come here to just do this damn challenge. I came here to actually take part in this Pop Fest thing. And now you're stuck doing this challenge, and you don't want to be the one who's like, I give up, I'm done. It's terrible. But I do like this is one of those challenges where somebody can get ahead, but that doesn't mean it's over. And we saw that tonight. Troyzan was behind Andrea the whole time, and then Troyzan was able to pull it off. And Brad's cheering for Troyzan at the end. I don't think this is a cocky move by Brad. I think they knew exactly where Brad stood. This makes sense. I just don't think Brad really had to do it. This isn't like the Adam one last year. Who was he helping? Ken, I think. This wasn't like that where he kind of needed to make it happen. This was Brad just kind of doing it, and there was really no benefit. Nobody was close to Troyzan. It's just kind of he's going to figure out if he can move slow or not. He kind of knows where he's at.
Yeah, and I don't really love when people do that, when people just kind of, I know Troyzan was running away with it at that point, but when people just stop and they're loudly cheering for their alliance. I know Cirie did it and Debbie did it too. I don't really like that. But then at the end, I think everyone was just so pumped that Troyzan won, because I think everyone likes him. Everyone has made it very clear that they really like him. And so I think it was a cool moment for everyone to have Troyzan win it. But in the moment where they were cheering him on, I was like, I never really liked that.
No, you don't, huh? You don't like when people are cheering him on? When people are cheering on someone? You don't like that?
Okay, well now you're putting words in my mouth.
No. I'm gonna edit this. I'm gonna splice this up, edit it together, and we're gonna talk about the Cirie thing, and you're gonna come out and say, I don't like watching people cheer people on.
That's not what I said. I said that I don't like when people stop doing the challenge to cheer on their alliance member.
You said to cheer people on. I don't think you ever said alliance member. I would have heard that.
You are.
Somebody tell me if she said alliance member.
I didn't say alliance member, but you're being so annoying. That's not.
I am being annoying because that really made me mad. But anyway, okay. So Troyzan wins. Also,
don't just because you're mad at the Cirie thing, don't put that on me.
Oh, I have to put it on you. I was gonna put it on
you. You put it on Will.
Yeah, that's true. It's Will's fault. But Will is the reason that we kept the hug thing. So I can't really be that mad at him because we got that. Also, somebody was keeping tally. Ty did his streaking last episode. And then somebody was like naked before that. And then they were like, who's going to be next? Troyzan was getting naked at the reward challenge. We need to bring that up. I mean, I just need to at least say that because they said to Troyzan at the last challenge, Troy, you're next. Like, meaning like he's supposed to go around streaking. He didn't necessarily mean to, but the guy's got to tie his pants, I think, because he's doing the swimming challenge and he was just mooning everybody.
And I know I'm one of the people who says this, like, oh, they feed them too much. It's not surviving. But clearly they aren't being fed that much because Troyzan's pants were literally falling off.
Yeah, no, they were literally falling off. I mean, I don't know what was going on. He was like one of the few who actually knew how to swim too, which was a very good thing to see. But yeah, that's about it. Is there more to talk about this episode, or should we go into comments?
I think we've dissected it pretty well.
I hope so. I mean, I feel like everybody hates us for the way we dissected it, but that's why they come. I
don't know why everyone's so mad at us.
Because I didn't like the Cirie thing. That's why.
Yeah, that was not good.
But you know what? This is like the Survivor specialist. If I came on here to repeat what I heard on the internet or what people were saying, what's the point of even listening to me? Then you can just read it on Reddit. I didn't like the moment. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was boring and a waste of my time. There you go. I said it, and I'll say it again. I just didn't like it. And
Troyzan, on to comments.
I just want to talk about Troyzan. God. He hugged Jeff. Okay, let's go.
In case anyone was aware, Troyzan hugged Jeff.
Yeah, there's so many things, too. I just want to say real quick. We had Troyzan hug Jeff. The hashtag blindside came up for Debbie. Debbie didn't say a word. Debbie had the episode title. Debbie had a confessional in every episode she was in. Sarah had the last vote, and Sarah might have had 10 confessionals tonight. We're going to have to check that. But there were a lot of things that happened tonight.
Yeah, Sarah had a ton of confessionals.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's about it. I mean, you know, she was going crazy. Let's go into comments. What am I supposed to do? Okay, Lloyd Christmas. Does anyone else get as much enjoyment out of watching castaways dive in these water challenges as me? This is really interesting. Do none of them know how to dive?
I am glad that that person brought that up because I was going to say that. I'm just saying, I think Debbie had the best dive out of anyone.
Debbie? No, I think, was it Andrea had the best form. She would always put her hands
Andrea
over
and Debbie
her
had incredible dives. But yeah, everyone just jumps right out into the water.
I mean, they're belly flopping. Cirie belly flopped. Zeke belly flopped. I didn't really see what too many of the other ones did, but the only one who stood out, I just loved watching every time Andrea went to dive. It was like she was still in swim school, where it was like every time she got to the edge of the platform, hands up and out. Like every single time. It was really funny.
And it was working. So, you know what? So there's a reason they teach you that in swim school.
Yeah, I guess so. So then we have Gamer Girl. I don't see why people thought Debbie got arrogant and cocky. To me, she voted out because she was a strategic threat. It's Debbie trying to tell you what you're supposed to do that gets her in trouble.
But she didn't command her what to do. I think it was more of a miss-slip on her part.
Yeah, no, and it's not that it was a miss-slip. She starts getting, so even when they were having the conversation about let's get rid of, what's her name? Let's get rid of Andrea. She's like, no, I want to do Michaela. And then she says she's a team player, But, like, you know she still really wanted to get rid of Michaela, and she definitely fought that a lot longer than what we saw. And when she said it took 10 minutes, it took 10 minutes because 9 minutes and 30 seconds was Debbie saying it should be Michaela.
I think a lot of them, I don't think it was just Debbie who wanted Michaela. I think, Brandon and Cirie said they wanted her too, but then I think, they decided to switch it. But I don't think it was just Debbie who really wanted Michaela.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Guys, I don't know. Sorry, I'm like laughing and like half paying. I'm sorry, Alexa. I'm sorry. Just
no,
our live chat is in rare form tonight, and it's just like I don't know.
Everyone, everyone be a little nicer to each other. We're all here to just talk about Survivor.
I mean, God, it's just if there's a troll in your life, what do? You ignore them. When Aubrey was falling off the balance beam, you think she's sitting there like being like, "Hey, Michaela, shut up." No, just
also don't yell at each other. Yell at me and Phil. Don't be mean to each other.
No, don't yell at us either. Don't yell at anybody.
Yeah, don't yell at anyone. Be nice. Treat each other
yell
with
at Will.
respect.
Take your anger out. Oh, everybody go buy a pillow, write Will's name on it, and punch it.
Or treat each other with respect and be nice to each other.
But if you do feel like you need to punch something, write Will on a pillow. It works.
Yeah, make sure you punch a pillow and not anything else.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not somebody's face. All right. Moving on. I think I seriously might be done with the group chat tonight. Moving on. Joe Haas. Yeah. Is it me or is Survivor on a balance beam kick lately? They are really on a balance beam kick lately. If you have no balance, you cannot win challenges.
Yeah, they've been loving the balance beams. What I do like about the challenges tonight is every challenge has been like a lot of physical things and then a puzzle. And I'm glad that they switched that up because I've seen enough of those.
Yeah, exactly. So we didn't get a puzzle tonight. I guess immunity trying to spell the word is sort of a puzzle. But we did get a lot of balance beam.
Yeah, if that's a puzzle, I don't think you should be on Survivor.
No, I'm just saying, you still have to spell it right. What was it, Joe last season who spelled it wrong or in co-wrong? I think Joe spelled it wrong. So it's still a puzzle. You saw Ty try to spell it 500 times tonight.
Or there's the infamous Ken spelling millennials versus Gen X wrong.
That's who it was.
That was awesome.
Oh, no, that was different too. But that's, yeah, exactly. When you're hungry, this could be a very, very big puzzle. We have Steel Punch. Troyzan gave Jeff a hug, put that prop bet back in. Guys, I'm not going to lie. That's the greatest thing that's happened in the whole time we've been podcasting. Steel Punch felt like this was the worst episode of the season. I feel like I knew it was going to be Debbie all night long. I think the only way you know it's going to be Debbie from start to finish is if you read some sort of spoiler. How do you know in the first half hour Debbie's going home?
What was that? Sorry, I missed that.
I just don't understand how you would think it's Debbie going home in the first half hour of the show. Yeah, you could start to think that it's going to switch on her when Sarah starts saying, I'm going to flop over. But if you're watching the first half hour of the show, why are you thinking it's Debbie and not Brad or Cirie if you really think they're going to flip? Debbie hadn't done anything wrong yet.
I think the only way that anyone could possibly have thought that Debbie was going home is if you listen to what she's saying. Just because when you hear someone say we're rock solid, there's a line drawn in concrete, that's like Survivor telling you, that's production telling you hey, this person is in danger. But other than that, half the time there's a red herring. So, but other than that, there was no reason for Debbie to go home.
No, there really wasn't.
As a viewer.
Yeah. We have Joe Brochacho, heck yeah, and Troyzan won immunity. Troyzan points all around. Can't believe Debbie got the episode title again. She's actually gotten them a lot.
Well, Debbie has a lot of interesting things to say.
What was it called tonight? Line drawn in concrete. Of course,
line drawn in concrete.
Yeah, of course that's what it was going to be. What it was. We have Reality Fanatic. At this point, I know Michaela has a 0% chance to win, so I'm fine with her just giving us gifts for the rest of the season. And that is pretty much spot on right now. Michaela will not get votes if she gets to the end. She will be the GOAT. But, God, her eating those coconuts was so funny. Especially since earlier in the episode, we get told, Debbie just or all Michaela does is eat. She's just always eating, and she's like, damn, but it's good though, or whatever she said. It's so funny. And then she goes to Tribal and eats it behind Debbie. That was great. I love that. That's twice now. Michaela has just been the queen of that.
I love it. And maybe that's what's bothering people. That call it a hunch. But oh my God, will I watch that every time? I hope next time she takes a shower in the back or something. I want her to just keep elevating it.
Yeah, exactly. We got to get the screen, the Austin Powers thing, when they just go behind the screen and it just keeps escalating. That's what needs to happen with Michaela here. Giovanni Oriana, fun fact, Nyanka mentioned Boo Boo the Fool in Nicaragua. Michaela's bringing us cool things like Boo Boo the Fool too. So,
yeah.
I mean,
that's
Okay. Giovanni, what is the better Debbie game, Co-Wrong or Game Changers? Alexa, you should answer this first.
No, please, after you.
No. You're the Debbie fan. You need to go.
Oh, I think she played a better game in Co-Wrong, I think.
Really? I disagree. I think she played a better pre-merge in Co-Wrong for a little bit. But I think she actually put herself in a position here this season to have a chance to win if she got to the end. In her first season, I don't think she ever put herself in that position. I think this season, her post-merge stuff was actually very good. She just ran into a buzzsaw in Sarah, who's like, I need to make a big move. All Sarah's been saying the entire time is I need to make a big move. And that one little line to Aubrey dooms her because it was at Sarah's expense. Sarah was never going to work, just with this alliance. She was going to get too antsy and she was going to pull a Zeke had she stuck around in the sixsome for long enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think she played a relatively similar game. So I think it's kind of give and take. I just think the situation that happened with Brad, although now we know that it was edited in a way to make it seem like it was way crazier than it was. I think it would have taken a lot for her to win. But I think she played a similar game either way. So I can agree with both sides of that.
Yeah. Zach, emotional Cirie moments. Debbie going by being Debbie. Michaela eating at Tribal. Is this the best episode of Survivor yet? Well, we've all heard how I feel about the Cirie moment, but this was one of the better episodes of the season because it was straight Survivor. And I'll probably go back and rewatch it and be okay with the beginning part of it, knowing how the rest of it goes down.
Yeah, we were texting each other halfway through this episode saying, I'm not loving this, and it got better. So as long as the players themselves are mixing up the game, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Gamer Girl, could Aubrey and Troyzan be playing under the radar games? They're absolutely playing under the radar games. Troyzan had a secret scene where he said he's specifically purposely playing an under radar game.
And I think that's smart for him because he's in a fantastic position.
He's in a fantastic position to get to the end, and he knows he's sitting there with an idol in his pocket. And if he ever has to play that idol to get rid of somebody, then he's made his move, and he has a great argument when he gets to the end. You don't have to make moves to every single vote. You don't have to be a part of every single vote. People win without that a lot. And I think that's the type of game Troyzan's trying to play. Make sure you're never the target. And if you idle somebody out at some point, make your move later on in the game. Like he said, at Final 6, a lot can change. And I think that might be foreshadowing of Troyzan making a big move at Final 6.
And on top of that, this guy just won immunity. And I think people aren't freaking out about him as a massive immunity threat. That's incredible.
Yeah, and also Andrea keeps putting a bigger target on her back by finishing second, or would have been, she was the big threat to win immunity again. That's like 3 times. She won it the first time. She was really in it the second time. She's really in it here. She's putting a target on herself. Troyzan, everybody's just kind of like, whatever. It's funny.
Yeah, and he won that immunity, and people were happy for him. Like, probably a lot of it is because they were happy for their alliance, but people genuinely like him, and that goes a lot farther than we think it does.
Yeah. Giovanni Ariana, is Sarah playing like Tony and Trish combined as one? As long as the Trish side is calming down her Tony side, because she's not playing that crazy of a game. She's just very antsy.
Yeah, I'm not seeing much of a Tony vibe. She would have to be freaking out a lot more.
And digging things and hiding near people.
And watching Trish pee.
Yeah, exactly. Gamer Girl, did anyone else want to give Cirie a hug? Alexa, did you?
I did want to give her a hug. Did you?
There you go. I mean, yeah, at that point, I just didn't want to watch it. I mean, I like Cirie, and I did feel for her, but I just didn't want to watch it. That's all. Giovanni Oriana, forget Tony. Michaela has a real bag of tricks. And I'm going to be honest with you, Giovanni. Next episode, she might actually pull out a bag of tricks like this cereal. Because I would not be surprised at this point if that's what her next move is. She sips tea, then she's got coconut. Now she's got a cereal that obviously is not being grown on the island.
Yeah, they grow tricks on the island. That's the wonders of Fiji. Yeah, God, I hope so. That's the bar. The bar's been set.
Yeah. Aaron Wiener, was that popcorn? Next tribal, she's gonna have candy. It was the coconut. That's all. Gamer Girl, how come the Minority Alliance isn't targeting Ty or the obvious winner edits Brad and Sierra? And I kind of said this earlier. Debbie's just too much of a loose cannon, and she's the one who threw Sarah's name under the bus. And I think they all kind of said we can never trust Debbie. Debbie is one of those dangerous players who gets very set in her alliance ways until they no longer want to go what Debbie wants to go. And then she tries to flip, and she's just so unpredictable of a player. You just can't use her.
Yeah, and I think they know where Brad and Cirie stand in the alliance, so there's plenty of time to deal with them.
Yeah, exactly. Aaron Weiner, I'll admit, there were a few tears in my eyes when Cirie made it out of the water. Aaron Weiner, Michaela's a badass. Every time they put her name on the chopping block, I cringe a little bit. She just keeps on finding a way. I mean, it's crazy. She just keeps on finding a way. She's always getting her name thrown out there.
She's getting her name thrown out there, and look at how she's changed. She was flipping out the first time, and now she's eating tricks.
And still flipping out a little bit.
Well, she didn't particularly flip out. She was calm when they told her.
But there was a little bit of tantrum. I'm saying maybe not when getting votes, but there was a little bit of a tantrum when she didn't get picked. Can't say that was exactly calm.
I'm talking about when they're voting her.
Yeah. Giovanni Oriana, for the first time in forever, didn't get any confessionals. Are we in the Twilight Zone? And here we go. With Debbie being out of the game, there's nobody left in the game who has gotten a confessional every episode. So if you picked any of these 10 players, you will not get that for the prop bet. And on top of all of that, we are going to have a winner who didn't have a confessional in every episode. So that's really cool because, last season we did, and I think the season before that we didn't with Michelle. But Jeremy, I'm pretty sure we did. It's always interesting when you start watching the zeros come up and you're like, okay, who's still got all their confessionals left? And then you start to say, oh, well, they might have a better chance to win. We had David, Jay, and Adam all last year who had a confessional every episode going into the finale. And then this season, we're going to have nobody.
And like you said with Michelle, she started off with a period of time with having a lot of those zeros. So it's all about where those zeros are placed, too.
Exactly. And like, Sarah had a lot of zeros, but tonight was Sarah's episode. And like Troyzan has had a lot of zeros, but Troyzan got a confessional tonight, got a little bit of an emotional moment. He could easily pick it up and still win the game if his edit picks up here. It's something that can easily happen. People put too much into this. Pre-merge was edited differently. That's all. I really honestly believe that because they lost so many big characters, they wanted to give them all as much screen time as possible because they don't want to lose those characters. Haley got almost nothing. The merge boot always gets something. And Haley got almost nothing because they gave so much to the 6 or 7 people, whatever it is, that got voted out before the merge.
Yeah, and I in a sense, I'm okay with it because we got how many Tony confessionals? We had one episode of Tony, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with all the standard confessionals. I'm okay with all the JT confessionals.
Yeah. Aaron Weiner, Michaela's reaction to missing the reward was her second best reaction. Number 1, her vote out. Number 2, this. And number 3, flicking the rice.
Will she ever have a better reaction than her vote out?
No. That would, unless she won the game, and this season she wins the game, which nobody would expect. I think that would be a pretty dope reaction. Aaron Weiner, I'll admit Sarah is playing a good game, but she could annoy me more. But she could not annoy me more. I don't know why she's just irritated. She
doesn't bother me.
Yeah, she doesn't bother me. Yeah,
she doesn't annoy me.
You know what it is? She'd be like a very vanilla winner. Like, I don't know how you say that, but like she could easily pick it up as this game continues. We saw it tonight. She was in control and she can really take over. But so far, what we've seen from Sarah in Cagayan and now here, it's been very talky and like not the most exciting. She's not bringing us Ty type confessionals. She's not bringing you the Troyzan type zaniness, the whatever, like the Brad type cockiness. It's very much like, it's just kind of like there, but I think tonight might be a huge turning point where she finally has the chance to make her move, and we could really come to like Sarah a lot.
And I think you say that because the way she lays out what she's doing in a very straightforward manner, which is, as a viewer, I like, because especially as someone who's in that middleman position, I understand why she does what she does, and a lot of times. Do we know why Cass played the way that she did? Sort of, but Sarah's really laying it out for us, and people might see that as bland. But the way that I see it is that she's laying it out for the viewer, and I like knowing why she's doing what she's doing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Aaron Weiner, why wouldn't you want to take Michaela to the end? It seems like everyone thinks she's annoying.
Well, they've mentioned voting her out a handful of times, and she's still here.
Yeah, I think Cirie's goal is to get Michaela to the end because Cirie knows there's no way in hell Michaela's beating her, no matter what Cirie does this whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Riley Bursch, mad props to Phil for guessing the flashing chain would continue with Troyzan. This was said before I actually started. John Kenny, is there a place where we can check how the bootless prop bet games are going? The only place is our podcast. We will update it on this weekend's podcast because we saw it, so like you kind of have an idea, but we will definitely update it on this season or on this weekend's podcast. We didn't get to update it last week. We don't have it anywhere where you can actually see, so unfortunately. Clutch hat trick, your ideal final three ? You want to go?
I have two of the. I have two. I need my third. For both entertainment and my happiness, Cirie, Michaela, tie, because I think Cirie wins, and I think Michaela would be hilarious at Final Tribal, and I think tie would be entertaining. But I think I'm leaning more and more on the side of I think tie is playing a better game, and I would like to see him justify it, and I would like to see a growth from the last time that tie played, especially at the Final Tribal Council. But I also want Cirie to win.
Yeah, I would say Cirie definitely, Troyzan definitely, because those are like my two favorites coming into the season anyway. And then, God, they're still here at Final 10. And then I don't know. I don't know who my third would be because like I don't really feel like I have that much of a connection with a lot of them. Like Ty, like you said, that'd be cool to see him redeem himself. I do think Adam said it in his power rankings for this week on Gordon Holmes. He said Ty's playing the best game. And I kind of agreed with him because Ty was playing a very good game up until that point. He's still playing a very good game. His name didn't even come up tonight because you have Debbie, who's always going to be the louder one of the two. But in terms of who the third would be, I really don't know. Maybe Michaela, just to see her sass it up to the jury. I mean, that would be really, really funny. Maybe Cirie Dawn Thomas, just to see how the hell she would get there at this point, because it seems like she's the only one really. She's the leader of her alliance, and she has no protection. And she's on the wrong side of the numbers right now.
She's got that advantage.
Yeah, but that advantage is only good at Final 6. We're at Final 10. She's got to make it through 4 votes.
But that's not no protection. She doesn't have no protection. She has the closest ally on. No one is tighter than Brad and Ciara. It depends on what you're interpreting.
Next week. She's the wrong side of the numbers, the leader of an alliance, and she has no way of.
But is she on the wrong side of the numbers? Is Sarah going to stay on that crew?
Yeah. Right now she is. Well, it's 6-4 if Sarah's on the other side. If Sarah flips over, it's 5-5. She can play her extra vote, but why would she play her extra vote this week when all you're going to do is not even turn the game on its head and then you're back to a 5-4 situation? You would wait until the week after.
Well, I didn't say that Sarah was going to play her extra vote.
I'm just saying.
Okay, that's.
She never is on the right side. She's not on the right side of the numbers because if Sarah flips over, it's still just 5-5, and she's clearly the biggest target. Ciria's already pinpointed her as the biggest target on that side.
Well, 5-5 wouldn't put her on the wrong side of the numbers. She's clearly playing a good game, and if she makes it to the Final Tribal Council, I would like to see her.
I just don't know how she gets there. That's what I'm saying. She's the biggest threat in her alliance, and she doesn't have protection. Why would Sarah flip over to make it 5-5? Why would Sarah flip over to make it 5-5? That would be stupid. That would be so.
Because Sarah's been going back and forth. Anyways, Sarah could turn around and say, "Oh my gosh, everyone loves Cirie. I cannot believe that no one's even mentioned that yet." And Sarah has said this is how she wants to play the game.
Why would you flip from 6-4 to 5-5? It makes no sense. Let's force a tie.
I don't know, but why would Sarah leave a solid 6 in concrete to partner up with Cirie, Andrea, and Zeke, who aren't even working together? The whole
because she has an easier way of. I think she feels she has an easier way of maneuvering in that side, and I really think that she's going after Ciara next week. I'm telling you, I really think. We'll talk about it on predictions, but
we can talk about it. But I don't. You can't say that she has zero protection.
She has zero protection.
She doesn't have zero protection. She has an alliance. All right, throw your thing. whatever. Let's go to the next one.
When I say protection, I mean advantages and stuff like that. She's the leader of the alliance.
You don't even want advantages in this game.
Brad's protection, but they don't know about the advantages people have. Brad's protection is Cirie because they are looking at Cirie as the bigger threat. Ty's protection is his 2 idols. Troyzan's protection is his 1 idol. That's who she's definitely aligned with. She's the leader of that alliance, and she has no protection.
You just listed out her protection. We need to move on.
How did I list out her protection? I just listed everybody in her alliance that she doesn't have.
Her alliance who would back her up. Ty's already played an idol on her.
You think he's going to do it again this late in the game? I say no way. He's got 2 idols, and if he can get down to final 6 or 5, or final 7 even, he's automatically in the final finale.
Well, maybe, but do you believe that Ty is going to play both idols correctly?
I mean, I don't think he's even going to have to play both idols because I think Sierra's going this week. He won't need to play one then.
Then we've come completely full circle.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on. MVP, LVP, Alexa.
Sarah gets an easy MVP.
Hey, that's my team. Okay, good. Alexa, you never pick somebody from your team. You just never do
Zeke, whatever.
You want to say Cirie?
I said Sarah already.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah, okay, nice try.
I think Will has Troyzan.
LVP, I'm gonna have to look.
Let's say Cirie Dawn Thomas because she's on Will's team.
Does she have a reason for the LVP?
Wrong side of the numbers.
I don't know who else is. I don't know who else could have the LVP. I don't know. What's everyone?
Everybody's going to vote anyway. So far, I have a Michaela. There's a Cirie. We'll have to count these up.
Yeah.
But I would say I actually do believe that it's somebody from that alliance, probably Cirie.
Yeah.
You can't say it's somebody from the majority 6 because they were fractured and they somehow pulled this. I don't feel like it's Ty. I don't feel like it's definitely not Troyzan. He won the immunity. He hugged Jeff. I don't think it's Brad. He didn't do anything wrong.
Troyzan is MVP for the rest of the season because he hugged Jeff.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Jeremy Krebs, is Sarah's advantage too overpowered? If she's allowed to steal a vote and cast it for herself, this is a 2-vote swing. And that's a very huge power here. And this is what I was trying to say earlier. Right now, it's 6-4. They vote out Cirie next week. Now it's 6-3. If Sarah flips, it's 5-4. She plays her advantage, and it's 5-4 in favor of that other side. She can easily still go to the end with those 4. She can turn the game that quickly.
Yeah, we have a lot of things floating around, and I hope they all get played in the exact same tribal council just to watch the world burn.
Well, that would be amazing. Wub, Cirie's challenge scene is vital. Foreshadows her final 4 immunity win before she goes on to win unanimously. Don't you forget.
Oh,
that would be important.
You heard it here first. I also love the name Wub.
Yeah, it's Ducky the Wubba. Wub, got to feel up for Cirie. She reeled Sarah back in just to be screwed by Debbie, and fans will discredit her anyways, meaning Cirie. Kind of believe that.
I said that last time. Cirie, people are not going to be happy with Cirie either way. If she's quiet, they're going to say, why did we bring her back? She's playing aggressive, and now people are mad at her about it.
Yeah. We have Wub. No, it's so true. It's so true. Wub with the greatest point out of all time. Think about everybody on this season real quick. Let me set the scene. Everybody think about everybody on this season so far. Wub says, of all the nudity we could have seen from this season, we've seen it from Debbie, Ty, and Troyzan. That's great.
I think, Pete, there's Ozzy, there's Haley, but oh no, we are.
Debbie's going to be the one running around naked at Ponderosa.
God, I hope so.
Oh, God. I'm sure Ozzy and Debbie would love that. Or Ozzy and Haley would love that. Sorry, yeah, Ozzy and Debbie. Whoa. Sorry, Ozzy. Sorry, Debbie, too. Let's see. Nintendoshi, thoughts on the awesome minimal Aubrey content we got this episode? Yeah, it was minimal, but it was cool.
Yeah, it was minimal, but one thing, we mentioned her middle fingers, but I don't think she looked so directly at the camera, but right after she left Debbie, her eyes got so close to looking at the camera where it was almost an imperceptible eye roll. And it was amazing. That was like quintessential Aubrey, and I'm so upset we haven't gotten more of this.
Yeah. Aubrey's great. Her little side stuff. Nintendoshi, I think Brad and Cirie power ends next episode because of the preview, and at the end of the tribal, they just stare at each other. They did not know what to say.
Them staring at each other was pretty cool. I'm glad they cut to that.
Dope. It was definitely dope. Jeremy Krebs, do we know why everyone hates Michaela so much? Alexa, you want to dive back into this?
No, I don't know why everyone hates Michaela so much.
Chef, can you please tweet me back the time you answered this? Is it me, or is Ty very, very good at this game? He finds every idol and always competitive in challenges and always making moves and thinking. Ty's playing really good this time. He didn't play very good the first time. He played a very showy game, but it's never a game that's going to win. It's a very sugar game. This time he's playing a very, very good game.
Ty, Michaela, Cirie, final three. You heard it here first.
Troy. Brooke, head of household. If Brad gets to the end, is there anyone he could lose against? Cirie, absolutely, 100%.
Could lose to Sierra.
Sierra, it seems like, if Sierra gets there. If he sits down next to Sierra or Cirie, I think Brad loses. If Sarah keeps playing the way she is right now, if we get more of the positive Sarah we got tonight, he'd lose to her. And, yeah, I don't know. I feel like all the edits for these final 10 are going to really, really be unique moving forward. And it's not a typical season where you can just count people out because Andrea's has picked up. Zeke's is very large. Zeke seemed like he kind of knew to take a back seat this week, which, remember, Adam got a terrible, terrible merge episode last season. Goes on to win. Zeke gets a terrible, terrible merge episode this season. So I really think, like, they're trying to play games with us right now. And the fact that all of your people who've had a confessional every episode are out by final 10 says a lot about what the editors are trying to do, which on last season, I thought it was great. On this season, I'm still very confused.
I am confused, but I want to be confused. I don't like when we can figure out the winner just by having 10 confessionals per episode.
Yeah, and we have had house hosts at this point. Who do you think is getting a winner's edit? And I would say Sarah's really picked up tonight. Cirie seems like she could be getting one. She didn't have much pre-merge, but now she's got a huge one. Brad, he's been consistent. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, Brad's has quieted down, but it's never gotten negative. It's just slowed down because everyone else is picking up.
Well, and I feel like I said, this week was Sarah's episode. This was the Sarah, Cirie, Debbie show. That's what we saw tonight. And I think now with Sarah firmly solidifying herself as who she is, if she keeps navigating the season and staying in control, she'll still be a huge part of it. But I think you're going to start to see the other side pick up a bit more next week because they're going to be desperate. And I think Troyzan's confessional tonight, we hadn't heard from him in a while. I know everybody was like, we didn't hear from him for 2 hours last week. But I think that shows these storylines are going to start to pick up because now they have to play. Whereas before this week, they didn't really have to play.
Yeah, they're in it to win it. There's 10 left. Let's buckle
10
down.
left. Let's go. Over to YouTube. We have Giovanni Ariana. Wow, Haley got shafted in the previously on Survivor, just like Sierra. And yeah, just like Sierra, a huge fan favorite goes out in the second hour of her episode, and they get completely forgotten.
Yeah, Haley was sadly underused this season, and I'm pretty sad about it.
Giovanni Ariana, Phil, you're right about Troyzan being next. It reminds me of when Sarge and Julie mooned each other. That was so funny. Love Vanuatu references. Always love talking about Sarge mooning people.
I love talking about Vanuatu.
Yes.
Wade, win me over.
There you go. So Giovanni's back on Alexa's good side. Wade Drew, when someone loses, they play like their season's winner, and I think Sarah will start to flip-flop like Tony did. So you're going back to Sierra and Brad next week to take out Aubrey or Andrea. Love this podcast.
Do you know what that sounds like? Oh, love this podcast. That sounds like protection.
No, but she doesn't, though.
She's not going to play like Tony, though. I don't think anyone can play to the insanity that Tony can. I can see her having similarities in her game. I don't see her going full Tony. Well, no one can go full Tony.
She already hasn't gone full Tony because the whole pre-merge, she didn't do anything crazy. Tony was like he was causing stuff. She wasn't really causing things pre-merge. Yeah, she was talking to Troy and saying, this is boring. I want to get rid of one of them. But I think that's just more of we got a lot of setup for Sarah this season. We got a lot of setup. And I think that's where it's coming out here. Mm-hmm. Giovanni Rihanna, the immunity necklace really fits Troyzan's shirt. He should wear it all the time. Totally agree. Carnivore, why did Debbie crawl on the balance beam? Wasn't she an excellent gymnast a few episodes ago?
A few episodes ago. That was funny.
That's funny. I like that. Bullshit. Do you think that once Jeff realized that Michaela missed the secret advantage, how could she miss that? That he purposely had the losing team take the boat back to shore so he could have the opportunity to get the advantage instead? I know he said it was to save Cirie from swimming, but I don't think it was out of care for Cirie. This is kind of an interesting comment because Jeff's knowing that Michaela's just throwing such a fit, she's not seeing that. Do you think that he was trying to get somebody to go over to that thing? Because they go and pick up Michaela too. You think he's trying to get Cirie to like notice and jump off, or somebody to notice and get that?
I don't like to believe in production interference. I know that it happens.
Have you watched this season? Okay, continue.
No, anyways, I'm trying to defend CBS here. But they planted that thing. They were gonna make someone find that.
Yes, totally agree. Totally.
That was happening. No matter, they must have said, look, a bird, and just forced all the contestants to look the other way while Sarah meanders over and gets that secret advantage.
They were all trying to get
someone was picking that thing up. Yeah.
Troyzan dove again, and his old boat was hanging out, so they were all looking at that instead of over at Sarah. Gamer Girl, how could they have the extra vote and the vote steal in the same season? To me, they're the same thing. Also, to Sarah, not remember Ozzy's Tribal Council where Debbie used it correctly. Sorry, Sarah, but you won't be the first one to use it correctly.
Well, there's a lot of debate on whether or not Debbie used it correctly.
Yeah, that's very true. But I did see, like, we see a lot of Sarah saying that. I think Sarah's going to use it correctly.
Yeah. We like you said, we got set up for a lot of Sarah. We got this criminal thing for the first 4 episodes. We got her was she talking to Varner or Zeke right before the merge when she was saying, I want to win an immunity?
That was Zeke.
We got a lot. Yeah, she said it's Zeke. We've gotten a lot of Sarah set up. And
so far, Sarah's been right. And that's a very big sign of winner edits, too, is when they're actually right in what they're saying. Amy Tasty Fist, Sarah voted Debbie and obviously acted upset to fool anyone, but Ciara seemed pretty happy with Debbie leaving. Even if it was just excitement of seeing a good blindside, she still seemed a little too happy Debbie was going. Also, I could watch Michaela eating at every tribal.
I could watch it, too. I don't care who it bothers.
Yeah, and I don't think Ciara was happy. I think she was just blown away, and that's just how she reacts when she's blown away.
Yeah.
Dennis O'Connell, do you think tonight's vote was strictly personal? I mean, everyone has been saying Ciara and Brad are the leaders, but they go after Debbie instead. In my opinion, I would have blindsided Ciara or Brad. It would be perfect time to do it, and if they had an idol, they wouldn't have played it because they thought they would get perfect going in.
It could have been a little personal, like maybe with the Aubrey thing especially, but I feel like we would have gotten more I don't like Debbie rather than we should get rid of Debbie because of XYZ if it was personal.
And it's exactly like when Debbie went home in co-wrong, it was the exact same thing. There were bigger fish to fry, and they got rid of Debbie anyway. Scott Pollard and Kyle made it further than Debbie. And that's because they were just like, we cannot trust Debbie moving forward. She's trying too hard to control this.
Yeah.
Okay, we have, sorry, just going through here. Connor Nagel, Sarah just became Chaos Criminal and recreated her own blindside from Kagayan. It was even a 6-5 vote, and Michaela clapped her hands just like Tony.
The clap. We didn't even talk about the clap.
That was very showy. And why was she so excited it was Debbie going, do you think? Why was Michaela so excited it was Debbie? Or was she just excited in general?
I think Michaela just likes to be a massive troll.
I think so too.
And I absolutely love that about her. And no one else clapped with her. She clapped a couple times and no one else is following her.
Everybody else is playing to win the game and has gotten to see themselves play Survivor on TV before.
Yeah, and it's Michaela's world and we're living in it, and I am more than happy to be living in it.
Exactly. Sahir Doshi has a really big thing about Cirie, but it's kind of long, so we're gonna jump over that one. But it's all about Cirie being cool. And her decision to not pick Michaela was brilliant because she probably expected Michaela to be her ears on Brad's camp. It's an interesting point. The Real Negro, since Troy couldn't keep his shorts up this episode, my question is, what clothes would you want to wear going on the island, and which ones would you dread wearing? No, I always say that. How do you end up going out there and wearing clothes that, like, yeah, I get you're losing weight, but why would you not wear something that has, like, a string?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's easier for girls because you can, like, if you have a bikini, like, you can tie it so you can make it tighter if you're losing weight. But there's always, like, butt shots on the guys because their bathing suits are always, like, falling down a little bit.
But you can tie those bathing suits. That's what confuses me. Those tie.
Yeah, I figured they would tie, but I don't know. Maybe he's lost that much weight, or he just really wants to take his pants off.
I will say I would definitely – I think you go the Troyzan move of One World, where you wear the pants that unzip around the knees so that you have shorts. Because wearing jeans would be miserable. Once your jeans get wet, you're destroyed. Have fun with the rash you're going to have for the rest of the time playing. But
yeah, like Sierra's got jeans.
Yeah, that's oh man, that's wild. That's
she
gotta hurt when it rains.
Should have pulled the Andrea and chopped them all off.
Exactly. I would probably go shorts if they would let me. John Heddles, the subtext of the Andrea-Zeke dynamic is that Andrea voted out Zeke in Survivor Brooklyn, and Zeke eventually voted Andrea to win, which she did, so he might overestimate her threat level due to that game. Andrea probably felt extra hurt by Zeke's betrayal since they were friends in real life from that experience.
Yeah, I've been reading about the Survivor Brooklyn thing.
Yeah. Dylan Peddles, so far, Haley and Debbie finished in the same place they finished the last time they played, and Ozzy finished in the same place. He finished back in Survivor Micronesia.
Wow.
Who finished 10th place on their season the first time? Or the last time, or one of the times they played. Anybody?
I don't know. I guess like
Zeke was 9th. Zeke was 9th.
That could work. Ty was in the final. That could happen.
Yeah, there's a lot. Troyzan got 7th.
When did Cirie go? 5?
5. Yeah, it can't be Brad. Brad could go here just because he doesn't fit anymore. So if nobody goes 10, maybe Brad's the one who does go. Maybe Cirie wins immunity next week or something.
Wow, that would be a pretty cool coincidence.
That would actually be wild. Amy Tasty Fist, you think Cirie was lying when she said she wanted to take Sarah to the final 3? Because with that little scene, Cirie almost prevented a flip, and I definitely shifted the focus from her to Debbie, with the help, of course, Debbie acting the boo-boo fool. Would Cirie be the fool if she hadn't told Sarah she wants to go to the finals with Sarah? I think this is a really good move by Cirie because we've seen people at moments of flops and flips and whatever, people don't say, I'll go to the finals with you. And that's when they go home. That's why Jonathan Penner went home in Philippines. That's why Malcolm got voted out in Philippines. You saw it a lot in Philippines. But a lot of times this happens, and I think Cirie felt Sarah feeling on the bottom. And whether she was lying or not, it's a really smart thing to say at that moment because she was feeling good about it.
Yeah, I think it was a smart thing to say. And Cirie saying that, like, isn't why Debbie went home.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Benji Mitchell, Survivor Production seems to pull a new advantage or twist in every episode this week, being Sarah's steal a vote. Question is, do you think CBS is pulling out all the ideas for its twist because Survivor could be reaching its final season soon, or do you think they are just naturally going overboard for good TV? I've said this all season. I think because it's an all-returning player, they're taking more chances, trying to throw as much as they can, and seeing which actually works the best. And I think next season you'll see a lot less twists.
Yeah, I don't think Survivor's ending anytime soon. I think you're right. If they were doing this on an all newbies season, I think people would be even more upset. Yeah,
exactly. Gamer Girl, I like that the preview looked chaotic. Made the three obvious winner edits at this point. Cirie, Brad, and Ty look not so obvious. Yeah, this does look like a little chaos is going to stir. I wonder how much it's actually going to, though.
I hope it does too. We'll see if it actually does.
Yeah. Let's see. We have Giovanni. I wish Michaela was more like Sydney. They should tag each other in and out of this game. That would be awesome. Well, Michaela's definitely setting herself up to get to the final 3. Sydney got voted out because she's a threat to win in the final 3. So,
yeah.
Giovanni, Alexa, as a Debbie fan, what is her impact on the game?
Wow, that was a Zeke. What did you do to change the game? Final Tribal Council question. How has Debbie impacted the game? I don't know how much she particularly impacted it. I think her vote out showed people, or at least showed the rest of the merge tribe, that like no one is safe, because I thought Debbie was safe. I think a lot of people thought that if they were going to target someone in that 6, it wouldn't be Debbie. Like you said, Cirie was the one to go home. So I think now people know that they'll take shots anywhere. They're not just going to shoot at the top, and they're not just going to shoot at the bottom. They'll shoot in the middle, like where Debbie is sitting.
Exactly. And I think they just shoot for the person they think is playing the most dangerous game. And even though they don't think Debbie can necessarily win, she plays a much more dangerous game than Cirie, because Cirie, you know her move. She's very calculating. Debbie is not. We got Tim Lofton over here on Twitter. How much do you think it'll take Michaela to win this game? And then we have Lexi, who says, do you think Michaela is making herself a major GOAT? Does she have any chance of Final Tribal Council? So they kind of go into each other. Is there any way Michaela can win in your eyes, Alexa?
I think it has to be purely relationships now. She needs to make meaningful. And I think that would be really hard. She could go on an immunity run and maybe it depends on who she brings, but people vote for who they like. And they say they vote for a good game, and a lot of times they do, but people vote for who they like, and people don't like her.
Is your house phone ringing?
Someone is buzzing into our apartment.
I was going to say, who has a house phone?
I cannot afford a house phone.
Welcome to 2017, Alexa. Madhav Menon, points out the jury curse that's happening right now. Gamer Girl, here's why Debbie was a strategic threat to me, because I know you guys are going to make fun of me for it. She was the queen of the Aussie move, and this week she tried to axe Michaela. But it wasn't her alliance that turned on her. It was Sarah who felt like they're not talking to me, and then catches wind of Debbie talking. So I think Debbie was trying to be strategic by talking to Aubrey, but even Aubrey, like when Debbie's talking to her and like, you're not stupid. And Aubrey's just like, oh, okay. Debbie bends over to like pick something up, and Aubrey's like, oh, thanks, Debbie. Like, once again, Debbie gets bested by Aubrey. Not much has changed there. There's no game changing there. But I think she was becoming a strategic threat, but I think she just gets so caught up in other things that's what eventually dooms her.
Yeah, for sure.
Giovanni Ariano, rank these three in terms of who's the better player, Coach, Philip, or Debbie.
Coach 1, Debbie 2, Philip bottom 3.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. The thing with Philip is he tried to play better his second time. It didn't work. Coach actually could have won a South Pacific, but Sophie played him like a fiddle and knew exactly what she was doing. And but Coach, even in his first season, Coach was there to ham it up, but Coach was actually not playing a bad game. He plays the off stupid very well. No, seriously though, he's not a dumb guy, but he plays off dumb very well. And even in Heroes versus Villains, he started playing the victim a bit, and we saw the flip of Coach. And I think Coach is actually Coach is a very underrated player because of how big of a character he is.
I completely agree with that. I think Debbie is more similar to Coach than she is to Philip. I
agree. Coach early. I don't think she's much like South Pacific Coach. Pacific Coach got it. I don't think Debbie got it. Maybe her third time, because we'll probably see her third time. Maybe then she'll get it. AT&T, okay, this is kind of a stupid question, but for an all-winner season, would you rather see Yul, Earl, or Tom come back, and you can only pick one? That's a very random question. It's not stupid. It's very random.
I have to pick one, Yul, Tom, or Earl. I don't know if Tom will come back, and I've seen Tom come back. Not saying that I don't want to see Tom again. I would like to. Ooh.
I would say Earl. Let me see him play with better players, because his season was just full of not good players. Yao Man was great, obviously, but the rest of that season is full of TV personalities. And I would love to see Earl play with better players.
I think Earl would do very well too. And what was crazy about Earl is that he hadn't watched Survivor before, and he still ran at the table.
Yeah.
I would also like to see Yul too, because I think a lot of people discredit his win because of his idol, and I do think that Yul was a very good player.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what ends up. We'll see. I don't think that Yul will play again, but I think we could see Earl one day.
Earl has been on a lot of short lists.
Yes, exactly. And I think he wants to play again. Yul doesn't want to. I don't know if Tom wants to either. Tom, I don't think, liked his experience on Heroes versus Villains. He did not like that Heroes tribe. And it's crazy because if he survives one more vote, Tom goes all the way to the merge probably. It was that James whatever where they actually voted out Tom instead of James because they thought James was stronger than Tom still when he's walking around with a limp. And that was totally just strategic at that point, not anything to do with that. But if they vote out James there, that tribe probably wins the rest of the immunity challenges. We saw them go on the run once James went out, and I think that would have happened. Tom or Colby would have went the next week because both tribes went to tribal, but I don't know who it would have been. Tom could have easily won that challenge. I think Tom really could have went far. I'd love to see Tom play again. I would say Earl first though.
Yeah, I just don't think we'll see Tom again.
No. Angel444, did you guys notice Aubrey bringing back her coleslaw comment during the reward? That was hilarious and very low-key. So funny. She says coleslaw as the coleslaw is hanging out of her mouth.
That coleslaw thing is incredible.
That was hilarious. The Sarge, I honestly think Sarah's in the same spot that got her out in Kagayan in her eyes in the swing vote position. He says in the next episode, but the thing was she was the swing vote this episode. Next week, both sides actually do need her. This week, she was the one in the swing vote, and she played it much better than she did in Kagayan because she didn't get overly arrogant with it.
And she didn't go home.
Yeah, and she was listening. Bill Jared Simpson, did anybody else notice that Debbie was dicking around during the balance beam at the reward challenge?
Yes, what a good reference.
Yeah. And Bullshite, chill, bro. Like, I don't understand right now. Like, now you're posting comments on here. I let the live chat go, but seriously, like, chill. There's like no reason. Like, we get it. We read the live chat too. Like, we get it. There's no reason. Like, trolling is fun and all that, but like, come on. Now you're just
trolling. Is trolling that fun?
I love trolling people in real life. I don't understand what the point of trolling somebody over the internet is, because you can't see the reaction. That's the best part. When they start getting,
don't enable people. You're enabling this.
Like when I started trolling you earlier about the no protection thing, because you really think Cirie has protection, you just started getting a little angry, and the
Does it make you happy that you are enabling this mess of a live chat right now?
No, but I'm saying I let the live chat go. I seriously
you're getting a little red in the face.
I seriously don't understand these people. Like why? Like we've had this a couple times now. It's just like
I don't know why everyone's so angry tonight.
I know. Well, they were angry at us at the beginning, and that's kind of they turned on us.
Now it's off of us. So let's just diffuse.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't understand why it was on us, but moving on. Gamer girl, could Aubrey and Troyzan be playing under the radar games? We already talked about that one. Bullshit, do you think... See, I'll still read your comment, Bullshit. I'll still read your comment, but, like, there's no reason for it. Do you think Zeke's need to be the shot caller is blowing up his game? He keeps jeopardizing alliances because he wants to be the one to get credit for making big moves. Tonight, he actually helped this alliance, though.
Yeah, but he said he didn't want to take credit for this one. I think his problem is what happened last episode. Yes, smart. Exactly. He was very smart to do what he did tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Tonight was much better than that. Is that all the comments? Sarge, I don't know what that means. I'm sorry I missed your comments last week, but I don't know what that war is that you're speaking of. Trying to see. So bad. I don't understand what that means. I'm trying to load the comments, but it's like not happening. Hang on. Wait. Excitement.
Excitement.
Let's see. CVB, can you imagine Sandra in that swimming challenge if even Cirie couldn't do it? I cannot imagine Sandra in that swimming challenge. She would have had a hard time. The Sarge says, who would you rather see back, Sarge or Eliza Orleans? Sarge, like no doubt.
Sarge.
No brainer. Like 100 times out of 100. Yeah, and the last comment, Jason Obermeyer, which winner do you think had the worst social game? I'd say Sophie or Brian. Yeah, I guess you're saying overall.
That's got to be Brian because he's kind of a sociopath. Dude,
I'll be honest, Tony. He had the worst social game. He won because he sat next to Woo. He won because his only competition to sit next to was Woo, who didn't play the game, or Cass, who had a worse social game than him. But I really think Tony had a terrible, terrible social game that season. He's a very likable guy in real life, it seems like, but on the season, he was not.
Yeah, we've got a handful of winners with bad social games.
Yeah, I mean, you can still win.
Mike,
yeah, he didn't have a very good social game. Denise, terrible social game.
Horrible.
See? Trolling.
Nice try.
All right. Well, that's all the comments. Hopefully the live chat gets better next time. You confused us. I mean, at the beginning, we're just trying to talk, and people are like getting mad at us. I'm like, oh my God, why do I even have this here? Don't make me disable it, guys. I can. Not that I would do that because
of me. Can.
But if other people are going to start, constantly being annoying to each other, then yeah, might as well. But all right. So that's it for that. We have predictions for Final 10, and that's we have 10 people left, and Debbie's gone. What else you got, Alexa?
And that was great. So speaking of predictions, we're going to be doing our predictions podcast likely on Sunday. We'll follow up at the time when we have that nailed down. Give us a comment on this video, not in the live chat, on this video if you want us to read it during the podcast on Sunday. Give us a follow, give us a subscription, listen to us on iTunes, tell your friends, and let's all be a little nicer to each other next time.
Yeah, and let's all go read the comment that Troyzan sent to us, because that's really all we want.
Oh yeah, retweet Troyzan because he loves us. Hi, Troyzan.
Exactly. Yeah, don't forget that part. That's the most important part. Yeah, we'll see you guys sometime Sunday. Probably.